This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 407 of the Stable Scoop Show. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our sponsors this week are horselovers.com and Dr. Rose's Remedies. Eventer Angela Bailey from Maryland is the listener of the week. Rachel Pellison speaks about Sunblock, and Mary Kitzmiller reviews the Professional's Choice Elite Sports Medicine boots in the horselovers.com Tack and Habit segment. Listen in.
Welcome to the Stable Scoop, with weekly shows delivered right to you. With Helena and Glenn the Geek, live from the stable, it's every week. They'll bring you the news through hail or high water, while using their tails as their own fly swatters. So sit on down and laugh till you poop, cause it's time again for the Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop. The Stable Scoop. Stable Scoop.
This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Mary Kitzmiller, and you're listening to the Stable Scoop Show on the Horse Radio Network.
I can't trip you up. I left Helena B in there to see if you'd actually read it.
Oh, and it was so close. I tell you what, I'm like Ron Burgundy, and I have to read whatever is on the teleprompter. So
I have read the morning show one wrong so many times when it's been wrong or we forgot to change it back. And Jamie will do the same thing because you just get in a mode, right? And you're just reading what's in front of you.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I remember, I think I was filling in for Jamie one show, and for some reason, my mind flips Jamie and Jen, the names.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were talking to Jen, and then Jamie would come up, and I kept saying Jen. Oh, it was a nightmare. I think I transposed the names many times that show. Hopefully no one noticed.
Well, Mary, if you're new to Mary Kitzmiller and have not heard her, she does an episode every month on the Horses in the Morning show. You are the second Thursday of the month? Yes.
I am.
Second Thursday of every month. And Mary is a trainer. She's been to Road to the Horse a couple times, has done Extreme Mustang Makeover. She's a lot of fun, and we like hanging out with her, and that's why she co-hosts, and she's a good friend. Mary's out of Texas. You can find all kinds of information about her at marykitzmiller.com. She's a superstar. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, I got a list.
She's an artist.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. She's an artist, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, we don't have the full hour that I would love to devote the full hour to mine.
She's also really into clicker training. Yes, she also owns a Z-Donk by the name of...
It's Ziva, and I call her Z. She's just pretty much Z.
She's really cool, and you're starting to really work with her, I saw. So that was neat. So, yeah, she's got and the other thing about Mary is she refuses to tell me how many horses or critters she has. And she keeps claiming that she doesn't want to count or has no idea. I'm not sure which.
I refuse to count. Yes, a bunch. A handful here, handful there.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I have, it's not just horses. So it's horses and donkeys and mules and Z-donks. And so do I count that whole total? I don't know.
I would do it. I would love to do a special show, not a special show, a regular show on long ears. And if we ever get that arranged, you need to help co-host that because you love the long ears. Donkeys and mules, for those of you going, what are they talking about?
Some thoroughbreds have pretty long ears.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mary is currently training up. She's done many Mustangs, many quarter horses and things, and broke them and done all the beginner challenges. But now you're doing your first thoroughbred for the Thoroughbred Makeover at the end of the year.
Yes, the Retired Racehorse Project Thoroughbred Makeover. And this is some of the best in my recollection. I think this is the first thoroughbred I've actually trained. I would have thought I would have done more by now, but so this is my first thoroughbred, definitely my first off the track thoroughbred, and I actually just came in from working with him. He's doing really well. Very, very smart horse, incredibly smart.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that. Our listener this week, coming up here in a few minutes, has many of them, 5 thoroughbreds. So I'm sure she could help you out with anything you need. Everybody's always
good.
asking you questions on your show. Now you got her. I mean, she's trained up a lot of them. So, yeah.
Oh, yes, I'll pick her brain.
Yeah. So that should be fun coming up. Well, we're going to get started today. Oh, by the way, Helena, I should mention. Helena is just off this week. She is on vacation on some island someplace. She's been posting pictures of blue water, and I don't think she's thinking much. She's just enjoying. So it's Aruba or Antigua. I think it's Antigua is where she is this week. And they always get like these Airbnb places, so they actually get a house right on the beach, and then she posts all these pictures that makes everybody jealous. And Helena's a bit of a fish. She loves the water. She loves snorkeling and scuba diving and all that stuff. So I'm sure we'll hear about her adventures next week. Plus, she was right beside their house that they rented, was right beside, I think it's the Antigua Equestrian Club or Society or something. So she was hoping to get a ride in, too, while she was there.
Ooh, very cool.
That's what happens when horse people book the vacation destination. It's like, we're gonna get this Airbnb.
Oh yeah, and you'll be in some country and you just kind of find yourself looking at pony treks or there's a barn right down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
That's how it works out.
We were planning our vacation for this year, Jennifer and I. And last year we had a very horsey vacation. We went out to see Jamie and spent like 3 days there. We went up to Sedona and the Grand Canyon, and then we went out and spent several days at Monty Roberts' farm. And I actually rode a couple times on vacation. It was a lot of fun. But this year I was like, I kind of want to do a horse-free vacation this year. And then every place we look at, Jennifer kind of goes, well, so I don't think it's going to be horse-free. I think there's always a horse involved somehow.
There's always going to be a horse.
Well, we have coming up right now our regular segment with Rachel Pellison. She's a health and wellness expert. She's a registered dietitian, nutritionist, a certified Pilates instructor, and lifelong equestrian. She has a company called Healing the Hungry Soul. It's a private practice offering health and wellness support for equestrians as well as individuals not afflicted by the horse addiction. And, of course, her and I go at it every month because she tries to make me feel guilty about the crap I eat. Coming right up. Well, hi, Rachel. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So good to have you on again. Now, you haven't met Mary yet, but you know how you and I go back and forth because you're always trying to make me feel guilty about the crap I eat?
I'm always trying to make you feel better and you feel guilty.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. Well, Mary makes me look like a piker. Well, Mary, tell her what you're eating right before we started the show today.
A plate full of French fries.
Yeah.
Because it's a vegetable, so I have to have a well-rounded. I feel that rounds out my food pyramid.
There is nobody that eats worse than Mary Kitzmiller. She eats
there really
more
isn't.
crap, that fast food and just crap. I've actually been with her for 4 or 5 days, and so I saw everything she ate, and it was pretty much crap the whole time.
And the funny thing is, I thought that was me. That was actually me editing what I eat because I'm in public. That was me being a lady. You don't even know. You don't know the depth of what I consume.
There's a lot of horsewomen out there who can somehow get away with that because they do so much exercise.
Well, I've right around 25, I started noticing that I couldn't just,
wasn't keeping up anymore.
Eating an entire birthday cake in a setting months, when it's not my birthday, because who doesn't love birthday cake? And then, I used to be able to just, work an extra horse that day and no problem. And now that I'm in my 30s, it's starting to come after me. I don't. It's not fair. It's one of life's greatest tragedies, I think. I'm sure there's other things that could be worse, but yeah, it's starting to come after me. The eating, maybe not have
no more half
so
a
many
gallon of ice cream at a sitting. That's out.
Yeah, the ice cream. I do love sweets and I love cake and all that stuff. That I have sparingly, but for the meals, definitely lots of starch. When they ask me for 2 sides at a restaurant, I usually get 2 forms of potatoes because the rest is like roasted vegetables or a salad, which is just like lame. And so
Does
I'll
this
get
have spoken like a true Texas girl or what?
It does sound like a true Texas girl.
I'll get the mashed potatoes, but also the French fries. So
There you go.
I
Well,
love potatoes.
me too. I do
which
love
is-
potatoes too. So there, I'm not the worst. I just throwing that out there, Rachel.
You're not. Well, everybody's getting a free pass on nutrition today because we're going to talk about keeping fun in the sun safety today.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good for the girl who lives in Texas and me who lives in
Yes.
Florida. So it's like, she's got hot, dry sun, and I have wet sun. So
Yeah.
there you go.
And for those of us in New England who've been all covered up and are pasty pale in the spring, we have to be very careful in the sun at this time of year too. So,
Well, let's talk a little bit about that sunblock.
all right. So we're going to start with the sunblock. So there's some good stuff and some real bad stuff out there with sunblock. So, it's important to look at what the sunblocking ingredients are in your sunblock and not just grab any old thing off the shelf. So some good ingredients in your sunblock are zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. So we're getting very technical here, but these are mineral-based sunblockers that have really good UVA and UVB protection. So these are going to give you the best sun blocking effect with no harmful side effects. So there are some pretty nasty sunblock ingredients out there, and 2 of the worst that you want to avoid are oxybenzone and retinol palmitate. And the first, oxybenzone, is a hormone disruptor. So when you're slathering that all over your body a couple times a day, you're getting a pretty hefty dose of a toxic chemical. So that can cause thyroid problems, reproductive issues, and just general hormone imbalances that you don't want to deal with. And then the retinol palmitate can actually damage the skin. So if you throw that retinol palmitate on melanoma that you already have on your skin, it will actually cause it to grow more quickly. So those are 2 ingredients you definitely want to avoid.
And so
All
it's
right.
surprising to me that these would actually be on the shelf for purchasing.
Yes.
Who knew?
Unfortunately, we have very, very poor regulation of chemicals in our country, in our beauty products, body care products, household cleaners, you name it. The chemical industry can pretty much do almost anything they want. So in the US, we have about 13 chemicals banned, and in Europe, they have over 2,000.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so you really have to be an educated consumer.
Wow. Who knew?
Well, and I'll pick up a lot of horse products, a lot of people products, and you always see on the sticker that it'll say this product has known carcinogens recognized by the state of California, or it seems like California tends to be a little stricter. I don't know how much.
Yeah, well, they're so health conscious out there. So
Which
they
is
tend
true.
to have, they tend to have a little more regulation, a little more government, and so they have a little more protection in place. They're a little bit more hippie, so they're keen on this stuff.
Probably not so in Texas.
Texas, I was
Like,
just thinking
motor
that.
oil blocks the sun, Yeah.
Now they do worry about it in Texas. That's why you have that great big cowboy hat you wear.
I do. Well, and I'm a ball cap girl at home. That cowboy hat that's cost me a few simoleons. So I
Not
wear my
wearing it
ball
to train
cap.
the horses.
Oh, I do. But my nice hat that you see in pictures, that's a special going to town hat.
Just
Um,
for show.
Gotcha.
Yes. So I throw on my ball cap a lot. I'm big on that. And yeah, the sunscreen, I got to remind myself I do it most of the time. But now I'm going to have to go look in my drawers and see if it's got any of those chemicals. That's going to be interesting.
Well,
to find
Mary,
out.
tell everybody you did a live on camera. You did a live video Q&A session last week, and tell everybody what problem you had.
Oh, well, I went back and watched it, and I was really, really tired for one thing, but I went back and watched it, and I was talking funny. I'm like, why? Like I had a lisp or something, and I realized, I mentioned earlier, I sunburned my bottom lip really bad without realizing it. I was wearing sunscreen on my face, but I didn't put anything on my mouth. I was in South Carolina teaching a clinic, and I was holding my mouth funny, and so some of my words were a little weird. So, yeah, I forgot all about my lips. My lips usually I don't have a problem, and so I'm gonna have to remember that.
Yeah, a little chapstick with the SPF too never hurts.
So now, so that's what to look for in sunblock. Anything else?
Yeah, one other thing is that the sunblocks, the spray sunblocks, have gotten really popular, but unfortunately, those are pretty junky too. If you go on my face, well, now you'll have to change. If you go on my Facebook page, I just recently posted an article about a couple children who have gotten terrible, like first-degree burns from using the sunblock sprays because they just don't provide as good a coverage. And then there's also the issue that when you're spraying them, especially if you're spraying your face, you can inhale them. And we really have, since those are pretty new, we really have no idea what happens if you inhale those chemicals.
See, we spray them on and then I rub it. So it makes sure it covers everything. You know, the spray is more of just a way to get it on, right? But I never would spray my face with it.
I do.
Yeah.
You do?
I do.
I wouldn't spray my face
I see
with
people do it. Close your eyes, plug your nose, spray it all over.
Oh, I don't plug my nose.
Oh, she just reads it, apparently.
Yeah. Well, no, okay, here's my trick. This probably does nothing. While I'm spraying it, I breathe out my nose. So I can't possibly inhale it, right?
There you go. It's funny the techniques we come up with these things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So if you were going to recommend one or two that's really good, what would you recommend?
So there's a few good brands out there. I like Beauty Counter, which is one you can order online. There's a brand called Alba, which you can usually find at like Target, definitely at Whole Foods or more your green groceries. And then Badger is a good one too. You'll usually see in health food stores. That's more kind of kid geared, but works just as well for adults too.
And is there a SPF number that you recommend?
That's a good question. So they kind of mislead you. A higher SPF does not guarantee you better coverage, especially if you have ingredients that only give you UVB and not UVA protection. So 30 is actually plenty. It's just most important that you choose ones with the zinc oxide or the titanium dioxide.
And is there a place, have you written that down? Which one's the ingredients again? Do you have that written down somewhere?
I haven't written it down, but I absolutely can. I'll make a little post on my Facebook page so you guys can find it.
That'd be great because, and where do people find you on Facebook?
Healing the Hungry Soul.
Healing the Hungry Soul on Facebook, and you'll put, because we have long forgotten already those ingredients you just said, but now I'm curious. I'm going to go look.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I want to go look. This is one I might actually listen to you.
All right,
yeah.
I'm making progress here. Slowly but
still
surely
not
chipping away
eating
at
kale and not eating a lot of
no green smoothies.
No green smoothies, but just the thought of that.
No, yeah.
See,
No.
I've got the wrong audience today.
this is why Mary and I get along so well. And I was so happy that Helena was out this week because it was like, Mary and I can gang up on her. And
you see, I chose my topic very carefully this week.
That was a good choice. Good choice. Otherwise, it would have been pretty horrifying. Yes.
Yeah, we can't argue with you about trying to keep from getting skin cancer, right? I mean, that one's kind of easy.
Yeah, you certainly can't argue with that.
There's not a lot of debate there.
And also, so the skin cancer, obviously incredibly important, but, talking about getting up there in age a little bit, I'm starting to notice that, like on my forearms and on my face, all those times I spent in the sun, didn't really care what I was putting on. Skin's not looking so good. So, it probably wouldn't hurt to put on just a little bit of protection and keep your skin looking nice as well.
We live in Florida, so, we were just at the beach a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that gets all the Northerners who come to Florida, it happens every time. We see it with about half the people on the beach, is what's the one part they forget about?
Their feet.
Exactly.
Whoa.
They
I
forget.
didn't think about that.
Well, they forget to put it on the tops of their feet. And I tell you what, it was so bad last year. Jennifer's dad did it. Forgot his feet. First day, his feet swelled up to like twice the size for the entire week. He had such bad burns on his feet, and we saw it again this time. People forget about their feet. Now, those of us who live here, we're aware of that one, because and it's a very sensitive, very thin skin on the top of your feet too. So I don't know if does it burn.
That skin doesn't get a lot of sunburn. If you look at people who have aged and have had a lot of sun, look at their hands versus their feet, you see such a big difference in the skin and the freckles and the spots and all that stuff. So, blocking that sun really does protect you from wrinkles. So we have to keep our vanity in mind here too.
So
yeah, we gotta look good.
Listen to the Florida guy when he tells you to put the sunscreen on your feet. It'll save you a hospital visit. So,
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Rachel. It's Healing the Hungry Soul. Look for it on Facebook. That's probably your best spot. We'll talk to you again next month.
Thank you so much.
Well, I don't care what you say, Mary. I think you still look great.
Oh, good. At least for, I think I got maybe 2 more good years left looking awesome before the diet and the lack of proper sun care
I
comes
actually
to get
think
me.
you care more about the sun than you do your diet. I think that's going to get you first.
Yeah, it is important. Well, and I've got kind of fairer skin. I freckle really easily, so I know that I'm probably more prone to melanoma or skin cancer, and so that's an important one.
It is. Well, something else that's important is getting a good deal. And I'll tell you what, at horselovers.com, you can do that. Get this, Mary. They right now, and I posted this on Facebook. Jennifer, we use Ultra Shield Sport for the horses, the fly spray. And it's a continuous fly spray, which means it's the container that you can turn upside down and right side up and all that stuff. So you can spray underneath them, and it just works.
Guthrie's belly needs it really bad.
Yeah,
so I like those bottles.
And we have mosquitoes here that are wicked. And, this one it does the mosquitoes. It just works for our horses. And, it's probably got bad stuff in it, too. I don't know. But it's water resistant. It's water resistant. It works good for our horses. They have it, get this, it's regularly $15 at the tack shop down the street from us. It's $15. Right now, Horse Lovers has it while supplies last for $3.99 each.
And how big is the bottle?
It's the regular size 15-ounce bottle.
Dang,
yeah, I know.
Nice.
And it's the continuous spray bottle, which are usually more expensive. So it's the Absorbing Ultra Shield Sport, and we got a case. We got 6 of them for less than it would cost for 1.5 of them normally.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm telling you, if you're looking for any fly or insect control, whether it's the fly spray, whether it's SWAT, whether it's fly wraps or sheets or blankets, take a look at horselovers.com first, because their prices are incredible. And you can combine, you can mix and match. Plus, they've extended the Horse Radio Network coupon for 10% off. So you can get an additional 10% off just by putting HRN in the coupon code at checkout, HRN. And most products will get the additional 10% off. Plus, there's fly sheets. If you go on right now, in-season fly sheets are on sale for up to 79% off. Jennifer just ordered a fly sheet for her new horse and the fly wraps, the leg things. She ordered those for the horse, too. And I think the total bill was like $40.
My goodness.
So check it out today. Get on there. Keep an eye on it. They have flash sales all the time. They have deals of the day. Horselovers.com is the place you want to go right now for all your fly needs. And use HRN as a coupon code. We get so used to shopping at the certain place all the time. You get in a habit. Whether you shop at one of the other big names or especially online, you kind of get in a habit of going places. Next time you're going to buy something, just go to Horse Lovers and take a look. I think you're going to be surprised. Plus, with the additional coupon, you're gonna find it. All right, that's good there. Now we're going to head off. Neil, cue the music for our Listener of the Week.
It is the year of the listener. And now, our Stable Scoop Listener of the Week.
Well, we have Angela Bailey is our listener of the week. She's an eventer, also an auditor, and she's from Maryland. Hey, Angela.
Hey there, how are you?
You go by Angie, right?
Yeah, I do actually.
I
Yeah,
know. I said Angela just so that everybody on Facebook could know who you were. So,
yeah, that's how it is on Facebook. Yeah.
well, Angie, it's so good to have you on. Thank you so much for doing this for us today.
Oh, this is a great opportunity. It's going to be fun.
Now, let's talk about your real, before we get into horses, let's talk about your real job. You're a geek.
Kind of.
Well, now it says you're
Yeah,
an IT project manager. That makes you a geek.
Oh no, I
Okay,
would
does
say
it?
nerd.
Nerd?
If we're getting into the nitty gritty. Geek is like Star Wars is my Bible, and which may
Yeah,
apply. I don't know.
I have to agree with Mary on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So tell us about your job.
Geek is when you. I work. I told you this one before. It sounds kind of for the Coast Guard as a consultant. It's actually in West Virginia, about 80 miles. What are we? North of DC. Yes, there is a Coast Guard location there. No, it doesn't matter that it's not near the water. So it's one of their major data centers for the Coast Guard. So large majority of their systems are housed at our location, and we do the software development, hardware maintenance, and that sort of thing. So I'm on the software side of the house, and that's where IT project manager comes in. I'm not hardcore techie, but do need to know my fair share of nerdy, geeky things in order to do my job.
Are you a coder? You code too?
No,
No. Okay.
I have only done that in my master's program. I've never actually ended up going down the technical track. I got kind of pushed into the management world and never looked back. Good or bad.
That's better anyway. Coders, that goes beyond nerd now. I don't even know what that level is. But yeah.
Coding isn't even as much as a nerdy thing anymore. It's almost kind of become the new sort of frat boy jock profession from what I hear out there in Silicon Valley. It's kind of hip and cool. And I actually want to take an online coding class. I don't know why. I'm sure it'll come in handy.
Well, and if you're a female and want to get into something where you're guaranteed a job, they are dying for more females in the coding world. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Especially for us, there's just different clearance levels. So if it's something that, you have that ability and that desire to do it. Actually, our location offers a lot of opportunity to college grads. We have internships for college students, and it's a great opportunity. At least at this point and for the near future, there's plenty of jobs out there for developers, admins, database admins, sysadmins, all those sorts of folks.
All right.
But
Well, that's okay. Enough of that.
Job.
Enough of that geek talk. Let's get to horses. So,
Okay.
You're married to a guy named John. Was he a horse guy before you started?
No.
Yeah.
Nowhere near.
He married into it like I did. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And how is he a horse guy now? Have you converted him?
Yes. In fact, he is so fully immersed that people are completely impressed with his ability to notice colic, diagnose lameness.
Wow.
He really, yeah. I mean, I guess I think his training was rather rigid. It came from me, but yeah. So he really can. He's very comfortable around a horse. He doesn't actually ride, at least at this point. But he's actually likes the horses a lot, likes the work, likes being around them, and that sort of thing. So I'm very lucky.
Mary wants to know if he has a single brother.
No, he doesn't.
Sorry, Mary, I tried.
Sorry.
Never hurts to ask.
I tried. I'm
Yes,
trying to
sir.
help you out here, Mary. Well, now we always ask about the number of horses you own. And as you know, I think you listen to the shows pretty regularly. Mary is training up her first thoroughbred. And I told her you were coming on today. You've got a few of them, don't you?
I sure do. I love them.
So why did you go? You have 5 now, thoroughbreds. Why did you, what attracted you to thoroughbreds? You're an eventer. That's one thing.
I grew up, when I first started to write English, I was lucky enough to connect with a gal who had a couple thoroughbreds off the track. And to be honest, then when I rode Western for years, and then I switched to English. And when I could finally afford sort of a horse, an off the track thoroughbred was an economical choice. And I absolutely adored that horse I had at the time. But I had an opportunity and was working in Europe and always just lusted after warm blood. And so I got a warm blood, a Dutch warm blood. And it turned out to be my biggest nightmare. He accomplished a lot, but it came with a very high price tag of a lot of bumps, bruises, and heartache. And I decided that if I was going to get crazy, I might just go with crazy with a work ethic. And so I I kind of just took one off the track, Pimlico. He sort of had some ankle issues, and then I got a second one, and then it just sort of continued from there. And now I'm up to 5. I just got my 5th one May 20th, actually.
You're collecting. She's collecting thoroughbreds.
That's not a bad thing to collect.
It's officially over though now. The whole I can go into the story is that I adopted a horse from New Vocations, the Pennsylvania location of New Vocations. That's Dudley. And Dudley's been a horse of a lifetime. And I found out that I kept in touch with his breeders and owners who donated him to New Vocations. And he had a couple of siblings. One of the siblings went on to be adopted by somebody else. But then I realized he had another sibling that was actually born on my birthday. Same mare, different stud. So I went up to see him it was actually at Penn National, which is actually nicer, I think, Glenn, than it used to be when you were living around here.
It used to be the nicer, trashy track. It was, now that the gambling's there, maybe it's nicer.
It is nicer now, exactly. Same with Charlestown, because that's sort of where I'm situated, close to those two.
Yeah, the Charlestown, the old barns at Charlestown. Oh my God, They were a disaster.
Yeah. That's where the casino has really helped. I think too. The future's kind of questionable, some things going on, but it did help in terms of trying to do a lot of the upgrades at both of those tracks.
Cool.
So I went up to see Dudley's. It's a half brother, and was hoping that he would be this sort of dumpy looking, I don't know, unadorable, whatever, and I wouldn't be at all tempted. Instead, this huge 16 2+ hand, leggy gray gelding walks out, and instant goosebumps, and so I kept in touch with them, and that was it.
Load him up.
Done. So of course they ran him for a while. He did win one race, but otherwise it just seemed like his heart wasn't in it, and I think he's got some maturing to do. So one day I got the email that said, if you would like to have him, he's here. You can come get him. So that's what happened.
I think Bentley's on my wall behind me, isn't he?
Yes, that's the one on your wall.
Yeah,
yes,
okay,
it is.
Good. And people that don't know what we're talking about is the auditors all submitted pictures. I mean, all of them submitted pictures, and I have a wall of auditors behind me now, all their pictures on my wall. It's really cool. They look at me every day.
That was a great idea.
It's really neat because it reminds me too that there's actually somebody listening. Sometimes when we're doing the show, Mary and I will be sitting just talking to each other. We forget that people actually listen. But that reminds me every morning when I walk into the studio that there's all those people are listening, and a few thousand more.
It really puts it into just the auditors alone, not taking into account all the listeners. When you look at that wall, it's like, oh man, we have a ton of auditors. I didn't realize. I thought it was like 7 people. That's kind of what I had in my head. It's a few more than that, I guess.
Yeah. A few. Well, and we thank you for being an auditor too, by the way. So you compete in eventing. Where did that come from?
Actually, back in the day when I still was riding the Dutch horse, he was meant to be a jumper. That was my goal. But a friend of mine, actually, she had a friend who had a private plane, and so all 4 of us and her friends. Child flew down to Rolex. It was the first time. I really never even knew what Rolex was, and this was 16 years ago or so, something like that. and she said to me, you really ought to try eventing. Of course, I didn't want to gallop this crazy horse towards anything, and getting him into any kind of forward gait was a challenge. So I didn't think that was the greatest idea, but it sure did look intriguing, and came home and actually hooked up with a local trainer here named Sally Shirley, who's doing the retired racehorse makeover, by the way, and I'm about to go cross-country schooling with. But she took Jay, and I got to say she was the first one to actually accomplish anything with him training-wise. He was very tough, but that's what kicked it off. He didn't make it easy for me, but I kind of got hooked. So I don't do anything big. I wish I could. It's just between job responsibilities and life responsibilities, I don't feel like I'm set up to go do intermediate or advanced, but I do like the challenge of all three of the phases and all of the constant work that you have to do to accomplish a good day out at an event with all three of the phases.
So there's some of your competition, Mary, by the way.
Ooh, yes. I'm going to have to do
yeah,
the appropriate Facebook stalking. Yes.
So it'd be interesting because you've had thoroughbreds for so long. Mary, you have your first one. So what a couple things have you noticed that are different than training the Mustangs or training the quarter horses from scratch?
A lot of same, a lot of different. This now, because this is just really the one horse that I focused on, and you'll be able to tell me if he speaks to the whole. He's insanely smart. I was just teaching him some Liberty this morning, and I'm teaching him cues I've never taught him, and that I know that he has not been taught. The trainer on the track actually did have a really nice groundwork program with him. He started him very well. But I know that what I was specifically teaching him in terms of Liberty, he'd never done. And after about 5 minutes, he mastered it. It took Guthrie like 6 months. And I think Guthrie's a pretty smart fella. And this guy, it was so quick and so consistent that I thought, did I teach you this? Have we done this before? And no, we haven't done it before. And I mean, he just had it down, then kind of looked at me. He's like, okay, what's next? And so that was a really surprising thing. I mean, I've always heard they're smart. And then another thing with this guy is he is insanely athletic. Obviously, I know he's athletic enough to get around the track. I think his best finish was like fourth. He was raced, I think, about five. I think he had five starts. But and when I talk about athleticism, when I work him, especially in the round pen, and I'm just letting him go around, he's got the power to go. Of course, he can, get a burst of speed, but he really, engages his hind end, gets deep under, really reaches those hocks forward, gets him way up under himself, and he can hit a canter where it's a very powerful engaged canter, but he's almost in place. That's how he can almost canter in place. It's amazing. So. I was just looking at that thinking, oh man, there is a lot I can do with you. I'm really excited to see how it pans out.
Have you found?
It is cool to take them. Go ahead, sorry.
Have you found the same things in yours?
I think I since I have a collection now, the one thing I can say is always consistent, I think, is their heart and their desire to be around humans. I don't know if that makes sense, but otherwise mine they're actually very different. That's why when people say thoroughbreds, I mean, you can't just stuff them into one category. I mean, I've got a mare that I would never take eventing. She's got a physical, obstacle, but she's not brave. She's not. And then I've got another mare that when I evented her, it didn't matter what you put in front of her. She was going over it. She was, and just forward. But out of all five of them, even though they came with different trust levels, they all have come around to be exceptionally friendly, interested in what we're doing, and just are such triers. I mean, even if they're not getting it, they're they try. They really do try. And I haven't always seen that in all other breeds, but I think that's the most consistent thing I see with the thoroughbreds, because they can, I've got one that's, 15.3 and then up to 16.3. So they can be big, little, and then it's conformation figures into some of it. So the two things I think I really see that's really truly consistent after all these years, because I think I'm up to like 8 or 10 I've had through the years, and it's the heart, and it's just their wonderful personalities when you deal with them.
I would agree with that. We've probably had 20 or 30 over the years, and, they were all different. Some learn quicker than others. I think, Mary, you got kind of lucky on the super smart part, because they're not all that way. A lot of them are, but the heart thing is for sure. And then also the friendliness thing. I mean, we've had some that would just crawl in your lap. And I've always liked the mares, and I don't know, I'm probably going to get hate mail, but so many people just don't like mares. But I always liked Jennifer's thoroughbred mares, and we always got along well. I was always the one to take care of them at the shows. They seemed to like men, and they were they literally were like a dog at the shows. It was funny, which is a good thing, because when you're at an event, and especially if you're there for 1 or 2 or 3 days, you got to have one that hangs out good. And some of them we've had over the years didn't hang out good, and that just made for a miserable couple days. Because you were constantly fretting about what the horse was doing, right? And, so hanging out's an important part. But we've kind of found the same thing with all of ours. Well, before we run out of time, I have to ask you, what's the most adventurous place you've ever ridden?
I had a tough time picking. I was lucky enough, a friend of mine moved to Dublin, south part of Dublin, and I went to visit her several times. And I got to ride over there cross country a few times, and I mean, just a thrill, just major fun.
Every fox hunter in the audience now just got chills. You know that, right?
I didn't get to go fox hunting, which I really, really have always wanted to do, but I did. Yeah, that didn't work out. But
just riding in Ireland is every girl's dream, I think.
Yeah, and being immersed, it really is a different attitude, and the number of people who are interested in the horses and the sport, horse sports and stuff is just awesome. And then I also had an opportunity to ride for 2 weeks dressage in Portugal.
Oh, cool.
And that was incredible, because you were, fully immersed in the dressage when you rode twice a day, and that's all. If you weren't riding, you were talking about it. And we would do yoga in the morning, and there was really no phone you could use unless you walked down the street and had enough change and hoped that it worked for the day. So and this was years ago. So you were cut off from all of the world. There was no mobile phone. There was no laptop. And it just was the coolest thing. And I would love to do that again, because your skill in a matter of weeks just increases. And so I had a tough time picking between those two things.
Well, they're both pretty cool. I can see why. I can see why. But now, before we get to the rapid fire questions, how did you hear about the Horse Radio Network?
It seems to me that at some point, unless I made this up, but I thought Bit of Britain had some kind of podcast.
Well, boy, you go way back to the very beginning. Yes, we did. Helena and I, actually, and John Nunn, started a podcast back in, might have been 2006. When podcasting had just first come to iTunes. I think it was called the Talking Equine Show. And
that's right.
Yeah, was that what it was?
Yeah.
I actually looked for it the other day, and it's gone now. But we started that show when I worked at Bit of Britain. Then when I left Bit of Britain, the show went away, and then it was about a year later, after the show went away, that I contacted Helena. But that's how when Helena and I first started together, was the Talking Equine. So you go back to even before Horse Radio Network.
Yeah. So and I really enjoyed it, because cleaning stalls, mowing the lawn, driving to work, driving to a show. And I thought, whatever happened to that thing? I wonder if I just don't get it anymore. Something went wrong in iTunes. And then I searched in iTunes, and I came across Horse Radio Network. And that's how it all started.
Wow, you were one of our first listeners way back when, a long time ago.
Yeah. And then I had some episodes to catch up on, but It's been a long time.
Well,
Back
thank
when
you.
it really
And I love
was
it.
about 7 people.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you were one of the only ones. So you were a geek, so you could figure it out. You were one of the only ones that could figure out how to get the show from the computer to the iPod. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't actually that hard. I used to listen to Buzz Out Loud. I
Oh,
don't
yeah?
do that one much anymore.
Do you
But,
know he has a new
yeah,
show? Do you listen to Tom Merritt's new show?
I don't know.
Oh, I love it. Actually,
Well,
I listen every
your-
day.
It's your fault. It's your fault, Glenn,
'Cause I
because
take up
I
too
only
much of
have
your
so
time.
much time to listen. Yeah, and I choose horse racing network.
Oh, good. Well,
yeah,
forget Tom Merritt. Screw him. You don't need to listen to his crappy show. All right, let's do it. Rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, Mary, take it away.
Oh, yes, these are mine. Okay, what is your favorite food?
Guacamole.
There you go.
Ooh, good one.
That's a good Texas answer right there.
Yes, you would love Texas. Oh, okay. And so what is your least favorite food?
Veal.
Yeah. No.
Ooh, yeah, I
Yeah.
would have to agree.
Yeah, I
with
agree
that.
with you
I've
there,
never
too.
had it, but that'd be on my list too.
Yeah.
What is your biggest equestrian pet peeve?
People who don't educate their horses or even attempt to try to learn more about their horses. And
Yeah.
I followed it up with, I mean, like we just said, the podcast has now been out for years. It's really so easy. Everything's so easy to get your hands on information. And I know Google doesn't replace a vet, but at least try.
Or even,
Yeah.
I would even add to that, people who refuse to educate themselves yet think that their horse, they're not, they have a lot of knowledge, and that they're, so it's not only that they won't learn anymore, but they also think that they already know it all, which is,
Yep.
yeah, that one's pretty, that's a pretty good one. That's a big one. And that pet peeve thing, I've got about 3 zillion of them that are a lot more nitpicky, but that might be an entire another show. Do you have? Yes.
I'll tag on to that, because there's people like you, Mary. I listen to the advice that you give, and I'm still astonished at people who are like, well, I really had to bleep, bleep, bleep and tell him who's boss sort of attitude. It drives me crazy.
Yes.
And like, 10 minutes of listening to your training tips and it just doesn't work. I don't know how anybody feels good about themselves at the end of the day anyway. So yeah, we could probably.
Yes, that would be a good discussion. And I guess in those folks' defense, I think there's a lot of that is some preconceived idea we've had in not just horse training, animal training, dog training, especially of, you've got to show him who's boss, and so I think folks are slowly starting to kind of drop all of those pretenses of thinking it's me versus him, and I've got to win or else he'll win. It's like, can't we both win? That would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So next question. Do you have a favorite professional or celebrity equestrian?
I put down Sally Cousins, and probably Sally Shirley is right in there too. She's just not, she's not as well known as Sally Cousins. I don't know if you know Sally Cousins. She was at Rolex this year with Tsunami, off-track thoroughbred.
Yeah.
I don't get to ride with her as much as I'd like. She's kind of far away. But she was, anybody who's patient with me in the early years, I can't say enough good things about. She's just an all-around incredible woman. She's someone who can get on any horse, anytime, anywhere, and produce. And she's just pretty top-notch person all around. I wish she got a little more.
We need to get her on the show. I don't know that we've ever had Sally on a show. She's in Pennsylvania, right? Isn't she up there near John at Bit of Britain? Yeah.
Yep, she sure is. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And she's one of those people that, we have Maryland horse trials close by here, and Sally Cousins comes rolling in with her 6-8 horses. I don't know how she does it. I've got one horse and I'm like, I need a nap. And, but yeah, she's a really amazing lady.
Cool.
Very cool. If you won $1 million, where might you go on a vacation?
I actually said I would go wherever my husband wanted to go. I got to travel a lot for my job in Europe and domestically, and he's never really had that opportunity. So I'd actually let him pick.
Aw,
you the
that's
good
nice.
wife.
Yeah.
No, if
Good
you saw all the
answer.
horses.
Okay, next one is, what is the most terrifying thing you've ever done, and would you do it again?
I think it was probably when I went training level eventing on my crazy Dutch horse. And yes, I wouldn't do it on him again, but I would love to finally get Dudley up to that level at some point if I can get my confidence together.
And for the ignorant Western rider, I did do some cross country years and years ago. But so at training level, is that, what is it, 2.6, 2.9, or is it even, are they even bigger on those jumps?
Training level, I can't remember the width. It's 211, and I
Yeah.
forget what the max width is.
Pretty much
So
3
it
feet.
doesn't sound. Yeah, it doesn't sound big, but
It doesn't sound big when you say 211. When you say 3 feet, it sounds big.
Well, and it's not like a pole, on a jump cup. It's
Yeah,
Right.
it's a tree trunk. Yeah.
When I went to
Yeah.
Rolex on my ranch quarter horse riding round, I kind of had it in my head like, oh, maybe there's some small little logs I could pop over. And no, they were up to my face. I was like, no, we're not going to do that.
yeah.
And we did almost die anyway. That's always the fun story. If you could have just one superhero power, what would it be?
I would heal animals.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. That's the first person to say that. That's cool.
Yeah. And you'd save a lot on vet bills too. So it's practical as well.
There you go.
Well, when you go places and you're like, oh my gosh, please get your horse to the chiropractor, please. And I could just go poof. And they'd be adjusted, and they'd be able to actually walk up those hills and down those hills. And I just feel, you see that sort of thing. It just,
Yeah.
that would be my superpower.
And finally, if your horse could speak, what single question would you ask him or her?
Well, I had the funny answer, and it was, I would ask Dudley why he always has to slime me on the boob. But then I thought, you probably want to bleep that out. He has this unbelievable ability to, especially if I end up having to sneak in there with work clothes on to put a bandage on or whatever. But no, seriously, I would ask if there was something I could do to make sure they're happy or happier. Hopefully they're already happy.
I need to, at the
that would
end
be
of the
my
year, go
question.
through all of these answers for that question, if your horse could speak. And I think that 90% of them are going to be that answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For this crowd, yeah, absolutely.
I think it's got to be about 90% being that answer. Oh, we've never had the boob one before, though. So that's new.
But yet that is not an uncommon problem.
No.
We are our horses' walking handkerchief.
Jennifer this morning said, I just went out, got my horse out of the stall, walked him out to the field, and she was in here standing in my office going, and I smell like horse. How does that happen? It's like, all I did was walk in his stall and walk him out. It was funny.
I can do you one better. I once I was working in a barn, and I was flying to the UK for Christmas because my parents were living there, and I wore non-barn clothes, changed non-barn, clothes head to toe, and I had to go through the barn I think I had to check on something, just walk in down the aisle and back. I didn't get anything on me, nothing whatsoever. I got on a plane and, went to the airport, which was several hours, flew for 8 hours. And when I got off the plane, my mom was like, wow, you smell like horse. And I'm like, oh, I suddenly feel so bad for all the plane people that had to put up with me because I walked through the barn one time.
We don't even recognize it usually, though.
It's like if you go, I think it's very much the same as if you go if you go to a place where a lot of people smoking and you don't smoke, you smell it for the rest of the day into the next day, right? It's on your clothes, it's in your hair. It's the same thing. It's that same effect. I don't know what it is either. But thank you so much for you have been a good listener for all of these years, and we certainly enjoy the fact that you've been around since even before Horse Radio Network. So thanks a bunch.
Oh, and thank you guys for everything you do. Believe me, I actually try to queue up my podcast and look forward to a day at the barn where that's all I do is just listen to one after the other. So thank you.
God, she must be so sick of me, Mary. Jeez. I'm sick of me, and I don't even
I
have
know
to
I
listen.
am. Yeah.
Well, I just love the year of the listener and getting to know our listeners more. I didn't know that she had been listening since before Horse Radio Network. That's very cool. Well,
I didn't know you were doing things before Horse
yeah, we
Radio
did that
Network.
show
I thought
for a
that
little
was your
while.
start.
Yeah, that was before anybody knew how to listen. I swear, the only way you could listen was on a computer at that point. I don't even think you could put it on an iPod. It was very early on, and it took me forever to figure out how to make a show. It was something else. That was in the early days of podcasting. Well, we are, there's something else that you really have to take a look at because it's been around a long time and it really works, and that's Dr. Rose's Remedies. You should have some Dr. Rose's Remedies skin treatment in your house, and you should also have some in your barn. Both places. I use them both places, actually. I don't know that it's recommended for human use, but, it's one of those things. We use it on ourselves all the time. The Dr. Rose's is an all-natural herbal salve, and it promotes the rapid and complete healing of skin ailments. It can be used in a wide variety of animals, including dogs, cats, and horses. It helps heal wounds and burns and lacerations. We use it on scratches because we have now 2 horses with 4 white feet. We get scratches, and we're very wet here in Florida. Scratches are a common thing, so we use it on that. It can be used to relieve itchy skin. We use it on bug bites, on the horses and the dog for sure. If you have sunburn, it's great on pink noses for horses with white or pink noses that get a little bit of a sunburn. It's great for that. All kinds of dermatitis and just any kind of cut or laceration. It's perfect for that. It's all natural ingredients, no artificial colorings, no artificial preservatives, no artificial fragrances. It's steroid-free, it's gluten-free, and it's made with human-grade ingredients. I would highly recommend that you have it around. As I said, we keep several bottles of it everywhere. You can find it at most local tack shops. If you can't find it at your local tack shop or feed store, then go to drrosesremedies.com and order a bottle today. It comes in a tub, sort of like petroleum jelly, or you can get the spray bottle. We like the spray bottles ourselves. It just seems to be easier to put on. Sort of like apparently we like our spray sunscreen and our sprays.
Yeah, don't inhale it.
Yeah, apparently.
Although it is natural, so.
And we are really into sprays here because our spray, fly spray, our spray, sunscreen, and now Dr. Rose's. drrosesremedies.com, been using it for about 6-7 years on our horses, dogs, and on us, but don't tell anybody. This Tack and Habit segment is sponsored by HorseLovers.com. All the products that we review are brought to you by HorseLovers.com and can be found on their website. And Mary just happened to get this one about a month or 2 ago, and I'm sure you've used them before, maybe not this particular model, but the Professional's Choice Elite Sports Medicine Boots. These are the ones with the Ventec technology. So I know you've used Professional's Choice Sports Medicine Boots before, and now you got the ones with this special Ventec. Tell us about your experience.
Yes, I have used the Professional's Choice boots before. And funny story, cleaning out my tack room, I still have my very, very first pair. And I'm talking, these are from the early 90s, and they are still usable.
No.
Yep, they have a few cracks in the neoprene, and I know they've really improved on them since then. But yep, they're still usable. So I've used them. I've used a lot of horse boots for years. I've used the Pro Choice. I've worked in a lot of reining barns where, we're putting them on 16, 17 horses a day. So I like them overall. And this particular brand that I got to try out, this is the Ventec S&B Elite. I was using them on Guthrie, a few of my other horses, and I was purposely pretty hard on them, let them run through mud puddles, and because I wanted to see how they held up. And I really like this style. One thing I noticed that's different from maybe previous styles is they're a lot more soft and stretchy, and I kind of like that about them. Um,
And for
the
people
boots.
that just don't understand boots and what you're supposed to use
Mhm.
when would you use these boots?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I use them most often to protect the horse's leg and cannon bone from. I use it mostly to keep them. If I'm working on a reining horse and I'm getting them to spin and all of those kinds of things, they run the risk of hitting themselves in the leg and those sensitive parts of their leg with their feet, or if they're going around the round pen and maybe they kick out or they just accidentally hit it, it protects their legs from injury in that way. They do provide some amount of suspensory support. And what I like about these boots over, say, polo wraps is, when you're wrapping your horse, unless you know how to properly wrap, it is really easy to cause more damage than you're preventing. But with these boots, it's really hard to mess up. If you don't do it quite right, you really have a low risk of hurting your horse or bowing, causing a bandage bow. They're pretty easy to do. Even if you don't know how, they've got really good instructions on the packaging. And so they held up really well. I have to say, and this is a weird thing, my number one favorite thing about these boots is the Velcro part. And why do I say that? Well, in the past, the boots that I would use in different barns, throw them in the wash, pull them out, and when they're kind of clean, I could not get the Velcro off the boot. And when I'm trying to get it around the horse's leg, the Velcro would get stuck again. And
Yep.
if you're just riding one horse a day, it's not a big deal. But when you're, pulling them on and off 17 horses a day and you have to go very quickly, it is so annoying. And with these that I love, the Velcro comes undone super easy. It just pulls right off, but it doesn't come undone when you don't want it to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we call the other
So,
kind nuclear Velcro because
ugh,
you just can't get it off for some
you
reason.
can't get it off, and I'll pull them apart to put them on the horse's leg, but as I bring it around the horse, then it attaches back to itself really quickly. I have to do it again. It drives me crazy. And these did not do that. So that was my number one, you know, uh,
It's the
big
little things.
plus on these. It's the little things. Yeah.
We
So I
used
like
we used not this particular one. The Ventec technology it kind of gives it makes it more breathable. It's ventilated, and it uses a limestone based neoprene exterior, so it's just a little bit different and a little more breathable than the old ones. But we used the old ones. I had a pony that died at 42 or 43, and we were driving that pony up into his upper 30s. That pony would just go forever. That was my lifetime pony, Piper, but had a little bit of a suspensory issue. Go figure, at the age of 35. And we put these boots on. She was fine. She would just go all day. She didn't care and was never sore if we used the boots. So they do, as you said, provide that a little bit of support that way too.
Yeah, and the good thing about these boots is, in the past with different brands of boots, I've had things happen. The Velcro, you break off one of the little tabs, or stuff happens. And these come with they have a 30-day money back guarantee. If for whatever reason you don't like it, you can send it back, full refund. Minus shipping and handling, but they also have a warranty period, which I think is awesome. And I don't know if this is new, or if this has always been the case with the Pro Choice. But there's a warranty period. It's a 1-year warranty. If something happens to them, you can get them repaired, or I even think you can get replaced as long as you have proof of purchase. And then as far as washing, I like to wash them frequently because if you're using them on several different horses, you just want to keep it clean. I do what the instructions say not to do, and I throw them in the wash hot. I put detergent on them, and they hold up great. If you do that, you're not supposed to. If you do that, I think if you use any kind of solvents, or, a harsh chemical, then they're not covered under warranty. But if you want to wash them correctly to take care of them, I like to I throw them on the floor of a wash bay, and I like to use something like Easy All or just a really easy, not very aggressive soap, and you just hose them off, hang them up. They're dry in the summer day. They're dry in a few minutes, and they hold up to many, many washes really, really well. So overall, I really like them. There's some improvements with these over other styles I've used that I really like. Number one is the Velcro.
Very good. Is there anything you didn't like about it?
The only thing I would knock them on, pretty much I liked them all around. I don't know what these are running these days.
Yeah, these are actually at horselovers.com. They're $86.20 regularly, $97 regular price. So they're a really good price there. That's for a pair. You can buy a pair of fronts or pair backs, whatever you want to do there. And the other cool thing is they come in sizes, so you're going to want to check the size chart to see what your horse will take. And they come in lots of cool colors. So you color people out there, you got crimson red and royal and black and turquoise and raspberry and Pacific blue and lime green. So you can go crazy with your Professional's Choice suits. They came out with that several years ago. But
if you want style and you don't want to go too crazy, the pair that I got, the whole boot was black, and then just the straps were colored, and they were black with roses all over them. So I kind of thought that was cool because I felt like I could go, if I had these on in the warm-up pen, I could step into the show pen with them, and it wouldn't be, oh my gosh, he's got the lime green,
yeah,
at the reining show. So you can still have just a little bit of style. And on the price, for what you're getting, the price is very good.
They last forever, as you said. I mean,
like I said, I have my very first pair from the early 90s. And so that would probably be the only thing, is you have to be willing to make a bit of an investment. But if you get them, you don't like them, they're the wrong size, you can exchange, you can return. So that really helps if you're experiencing any kind of buyer's remorse. For the quality, the price is good, but you're going to need to make a little bit of a leap to buy them.
Thank you very much, Mary. Appreciate that. And you can find them at horselovers.com. We'll put a link in our show notes, and also we'll post it on Facebook as this week's product of the week. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And you can find Mary at
MaryKitzmiller.com or on Facebook under Mary Kitzmiller Horsemanship.
And you have some DVDs available too, right?
I do. I've got 3 DVDs. I've got one on colt starting using low resistance methods, getting a filly up prepared for her first ride. I've got one on an introduction to clicker training concepts. And then I also have one, how I teach a horse to lay down. It's called The Lay Down, and it's a no ropes, no resistance method of teaching your horse to lay down.
You can find all of those at MaryKitzmiller.com. And you can, of course, listen to Mary second Thursday of every month on Horses in the Morning. That's it for this week. Helena will be back next week, and we would love to hear from you. If you want to be one of our listeners and listener of the week, drop me an email at glenn@horseradionetwork.com. If you'd like to become an auditor, head over to stablescoop.com, and there's an auditor banner in the middle of the page. You can become one for as little as $1 a month. And let me tell you, that is one of the most active Facebook pages in history. So head on over to stablescoop.com to find out how to do that. Well, that's it for this week.
Well, at least there will be more next week. Until then, happy scooping.